We are going to be touring an abandoned resort off the coast of Central America, and I'm not even sure we're allowed to be here. So let's go check it out. This mysterious island called Cantadora is one of the Pearl Islands and located about 50 miles off the coast of Panama. Once a luxurious tropical playground for the rich and famous, this island is now quiet and almost desolate besides for a few houses here and there. As far as the history of this island, the original inhabitants were indigenous people who were taken over by the Spanish conquistadors in the early 1500s. By the 16th century, African slaves were brought over to harvest these valuable pearls. For many years, the island remained a quiet and secluded home for just a few hundred Panamanians, as well as a select few multimillionaires who were seeking a getaway from the hustle and bustle of the city. It took us about an hour-and-a-half ferry ride from Panama City, and when we arrived, it looks like it's straight out of a National Geographic magazine. This island is very small and only has a population of about 200 people. Although there are luxurious and expensive beach houses here, there's also decaying properties like the one we're looking at being taken over by the jungle, which only adds to the intrigue. There were over 300 rooms, a casino, pools, and it said that the champagne flowed like a fountain. In the 1960s, this elegant resort was built and it became a prestigious haven for the rich. Let's go check it out. All right, so this is the first building that you come to when you enter the resort. Let's go check out the finishes and see what they got going on. Wow, so this was the bathroom. You can see the rough-ins. You can see some of the plumbing is still there. So it looks like this might have been like the kitchen area, living room. Man, everything's in such bad condition. It's really hard to tell. You know, despite the rest of the building being in bad condition, these beams are actually still pretty good. Not like I'm gonna go up to the second floor or anything, but there's a ton of graffiti in here. You know, it's interesting, the whole place is dilapidated, but there's still a landscaper that kind of comes around and, you know, it looks like mows up the lawn every now and then. From what I can tell so far, all these places look like they're one-bedroom units, and they're just kind of like reversed on each side. But yeah, I mean, you got the beach right there. So location-wise, it's great. Oh, check it out. We got some coconuts. My favorite bebida. Oh, check out this bathroom. We got a lot of, looks like there's mold over here. This bathroom is rough. This bathroom looks like some of the flips I've done. All right, so to get to the second floor, obviously we gotta take the stairs, but it might be a little treacherous. Yeah, this whole building looks like it's almost ready to collapse. One bad tropical storm and this thing would be wiped out, it looks like. Man, this is rough. So despite this being in the tropics and it's like perfect temperature, you got the ocean right there, this gives off some really creepy vibes, this whole building. And we're gonna walk around, it's in a big circle basically. There's different units and then more of the central part. The meeting area, there used to be a casino, that's over there by the beach, which we'll check out. But someone mentioned in an article that it almost feels like someone's watching you when you walk over here, and I definitely get that vibe here. What is this cage right there? We got some deer. So when we were first here in the beginning, there was deers walking around, so take my photo. At any moment, I feel like something could just like jump out, whether it's a person, animal, I don't know what. So here's the back. Yeah, the stairs are all messed up. I'd love to get to the second floor, but it looks like the second story has kind of the same, same layout, pretty similar. And when we've been walking around, there's like massive holes that are like like 3 or 4 feet deep too. So it's kind of like dangerous, treacherous just walking around here. So let's check out some of these buildings. See, in Washington, D.C., so what some people do with some of these abandoned properties is they'll rip out all the copper plumbing, because the copper, you can sell it for quite a bit of money nowadays. So I think in these properties, everything's been stripped. I don't think there was copper in here, but.
In 1979, it became world famous when the Shah of Iran chose this location as his haven of exile. And during the time he spent here, he built and purchased multiple elaborate homes across the island. The island soon became a resort for the exclusive and wealthy, and Hollywood stars such as Christian Dior, Elizabeth Taylor, John Wayne, and even the Kennedys bought private getaways or resided in this famous resort.
So it's obviously a very humid climate. We're in the tropics, so mold is obviously can be a huge issue if it's not properly taken care of, especially over decades of time. You know, you just start to see these properties wither away. So I think we got some termite action going on right there. Termite inspector would come through and mark this place up. Oh look, we got a ladder. Should I climb it? Oh no, it's not. Kind of want to see what's up there. How much would I have to pay you to climb that ladder? Comment below. Now what's interesting, and we'll show some of those properties, just next door are people living here. So you got this massive abandoned 300+ unit resort, and then right next door there's people living here. And there's actually looks like $1 million, not a resort, but condos or apartments just right on the beach, which we'll check out in a second here. Jesus, so we got these ominous just ropes hanging from up top. Man, this place is creepy. I didn't even wear any bug spray today, and I'm actually doing fine. The bugs are supposed to be pretty bad here, but they haven't got to me yet. So over here is where there's an actual house someone's living at. I'm sure they just love having an abandoned property right next door to them. But who knows? This property, if developed properly, and we'll show the ocean, is like the perfect location. And this thing could be a $100 million resort at some point. So this might be some prime real estate.
However, there is a dark side to all of this. This once prestigious resort was allegedly owned by Colombian drug lords as a money laundering oasis. And in 2009, one of the owners died in a mysterious plane crash, leaving the place in serious debt. It is now abandoned and uninhabitable. After the crash, nobody claimed this once proud establishment, and it went from being a wealthy resort to a crumbling mess.
All right, so these are the oceanfront units. So obviously you'd pay a premium for these. And I'm telling you, if someone actually bought this land, redeveloped it, this would be incredible. I mean, you can just hear the ocean, you can feel the ocean breeze. You're 20 yards away from it, and you still have like the shade, the trees right here. So someone paid a lot of money to stay here back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. So you can see all the wood has decayed from the property. The tile's actually still not in bad shape. So when you're doing properties, doing renovations, try to find the durable materials. And someplace over here, they actually had a casino. So I'm trying to figure out which part of the resort was the casino, and it might be this right here. This might be the lobby, casino, maybe a little bit of both. You walk in, you're in a good mood, and then you go lose all your money, but you got the ocean right there, so it's all good. What is this right here? Hold on. This looks like this actually used to be one of the pools. So they had a lot of different swimming pools around here. I think this was like a swim-up bar, maybe. I would love to see someone flip this pool. I mean, I want to see someone develop the entire resort, and for the right price, maybe, this might be a little bit out of my price range, but it'd be really cool to see someone fix this part up too. And there's
This is another pool. You can see it's completely filled in with dirt. But yeah, looks like there's like snakes and lizards around here, and there's like vultures circling around. Let's go check out the lobby. This is incredible. I think that means we're not supposed to go in, right? Look, you got a skylight. Look at that. Whoa. Whoa. I feel like I'm in like an Indiana Jones movie. If I press one of these, the whole thing's gonna like open up. I don't even know where to go at this point. There's so much going on here. We'll walk over here. So this actually looks like this was the lobby area where you walk in. This either was a lobby or actually this might have been a bar. I could see like some chairs right here, and you're just looking out over the ocean. And then that was some type of reception area. See the tile holds up over time. The stone is good. It's about a 4 or 5 foot barrier from the ocean, so the tide would really have to come up significantly. I don't think this deteriorated because the tide came up. It's probably just neglect and various other things. This is where it gets pretty bad over here. We got tons of graffiti on the wall. Got something about Neymar, the soccer player. And this whole thing just completely collapsed. I'm not sure what all this was. If you want to take a guess, let me know what you think all these rooms were. Maybe it's like, actually that almost looks like showers or bathrooms or something. And then over here you just have like roof collapse. This property basically looks like a war zone, as bad as that sounds. I mean, it's just, if you were redoing this, you'd buy the land, you'd tear it down, and you'd build a $100 million resort. Or you could build maybe some tiny houses. If you wanted to redo this on a budget, build a tiny house community. Shout out to Rob Built. So here's another just like treacherous hole in the ground. I don't know what exactly these were for, but there's a bunch of these around, and they're not just like, they're pretty deep. So it's like, you gotta watch your step for snakes, for holes in the ground, for things falling. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. But actually this is cool. This is the sign for Cantadora. So I think when people came here, in the 60s, 70s, maybe they took a photo right here, or this was like some type of artwork here. All right, so we're making our way around. We actually started the tour over there. We came up down that hill and we kind of made a circle around, and then there's still a lot more left over here. There's a swimming pool and some other stuff. We still actually have insulation here. I wonder if this insulation's any good. Probably a little moldy. You see all the wiring, and these doors are kind of small too. And as far as the mold goes, I actually purchased a property that needed a full mold remediation, waterproofing. This though is different. It's not like the water's coming from underneath. I don't think it's just the climate and everything. So you'd really have to, if you're purchasing a property in a tropical environment, you really have to be aware of the humidity and moisture and everything. This would be a good spot for some type of movie or YouTube video. So these look like they're a little bit bigger units. So I think this might have been more of like the better area to stay in, if you want to call it that. Because you got this right here. You got another place to like serve drinks or do something. So this entire building obviously looks like it's crumbling. However, and this is obviously rotted away. I'm surprised that they actually use like concrete for this. Usually the older way of construction, they would just build the wood beams straight into the ground and they would rot easily, because you see that on decks even built in like the 90s.
So nowadays, most people, when they build a deck or build something like this, they'll put some concrete there. So I'm actually surprised they did that. Maybe it was added on later, I don't know. It almost looks like someone should try to climb this, but I'm gonna hold off for now. Oh, you can see the ductwork for the AC, and I'm sure they don't have heating here, but you see the AC, how it was run. And over here we have another swimming pool that's been completely filled in, and then I'll show you the beach in a second because the beach is really nice. Oh, crap. All right, so this is the swimming pool right here. I'll jump in. Let's see, maybe I won't, I don't know. Okay, it's not too bad. And then this was, who knows what, maybe people to eat. Maybe this was, I'm out of ideas for what things were. Everything is pretty much destructed. So I don't know what happened here. Some massive like sinkhole. And you got one right there. But you can see this property is really just, you know, just completely falling apart. I mean, I don't think there's anything salvageable here. It's just rotted wood. So you'd really have to just knock the whole thing down and start over. All right, so just over here, we're gonna check out the beach, the nice water, and there's also this really cool abandoned boat. So I don't know whose property that belongs to, but it looks pretty interesting. So let's go check it out. How do we get in this thing? I don't know anything about fixing up boats, but if I was gonna make an offer on this boat, it would be, you know, be pretty low. This looks like a tear down boat. This water is perfect. Crystal clear, you can see out pretty far.
For the right developer though, with the ideal location on the beach and just a short ferry ride away from Panama City, this could be an amazing opportunity.
All right, so over there, this is the resort, by the way. And then just over there is where we have the $1 million like condos, a couple houses. So it's like this whole stretch is just abandoned. And yeah, this could be a good real estate deal for someone. All right, so this is the perfect island vehicle. I'm selling cars now, or vehicles now, instead of just houses. But seriously, this thing would be awesome for the island. And they were actually trying to rent one to us for like $50. They said to walk to this hotel was like 30 minutes away. It was like a 2-minute walk. So we almost spent 50 bucks, but I want to get one of these things. This looks pretty cool. All right, so that's the island tour. Let me know what you think about this property, if you think it has potential, and if you like these style of videos, put in the comment section below what other types of property tour videos you want to see, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.